What's cracking? What motherfucker do? I'm trying to know what's up with you. I hope the audio is not too chopped on this because I'm recording from my MacBook strictly for the vibes. But I don't know, I just wanted to give y'all some life updates. 2025, I'm trying to keep an optimistic attitude. I have been trying to practice gratitude every day of my life, but some things have just gotten to me. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to apply a little bit of this lip mask because my shit is crunchy right now. It's dry. I can't think when my lips are dry. Okay, so basically, I just want to give some life updates because I've been bleeding subscribers because I'm not consistent. But I swear, I don't think some of y'all realize I'm just a human being. Oh, you can literally see my nipples. I don't care. I'm just a human being. Many videos ago, I uploaded that I moved into a new apartment. I'm not gonna lie, everything turned to shit since I moved into this apartment. There's been so much. Oh my god, there's been so much. There's just, I don't know where to start because I can't script this. I moved into this apartment, and before I moved into this apartment, my brother lived here for 16 months with his previous roommate. I'm not gonna lie, I got evicted out of my last apartment. Not by any lack of effort of trying to pay my rent, okay? I tried my hardest to pay that rent. I stopped working because my mother had a job, and I wanted to get my esthetician license because before I stopped working, I was a paraprofessional, which is just a fancy word for teacher's assistant. I was working 9 to 4, and I was not in a position to go back to college because of my work schedule. Not only did I work 9 to 4, but 3 days a week I worked 9 to 6 because I did after school programs with students. Cool beans. I was getting paid well. I had no free time. My mental health was in the drain. There would be days I was literally crying on my way home from work. I was tired. If y'all watch back any of these Florida vlogs that I have, you can see it's literally showing in my face. My skin was so bad. My skin was so bad. I was breaking out all the time. I had my boyfriend at the time, which is gonna be another topic in this video. And like, I just was not happy. I was like very, very depressed. And I wasn't in a position to go back to school and finish college. So obviously I had to think of something I could do. So I started my esthetician courses while I was at that workplace. As soon as they started the in-person portion of my esthetician training, so I could do my practical, like technical training, I left that job. I was kind of relieved. Like at the time, I was going to my classes 9 to 4, which is literally my work schedule, which is why I couldn't do it all at once. And plus, I'm fucking living in Boston. My rent is through the roof. And even though I'm splitting with my mom, it's still a pretty penny. So I had to go full time to get financial aid. So that's exactly what I did. I got FAFSA. I started esthetician school. My mom ends up getting fired from her job. My mom, because she got fired, had to get paid out basically until the end of the school year. And after that, like when she stopped getting paid, I was still in school. So I was doing my best. I made thousands of dollars on Depop. I was doing Uber Eats with all my spare time. I was literally all my time, like a lot of my time with my man. I was forcing him to sit passenger seat in my car so I could do my Uber Eats. And I was not making enough to pay that rent. The shit was $2,800. Very expensive. I don't know if y'all are aware, but Massachusetts rent is on some next level shit. I think we're like number 3 or 4 for most expensive states overall to live in the world, let alone the fact that like I'm literally living in one of the most expensive cities in the most expensive state in the fucking country. So fair to say, I was having a bad time. And I ended up going to court for that shit. I ended up taking a lot of debt trying to pay whatever it was that I could with my credit cards, shelling out mad of my money that I was making on the side, and it wasn't enough. So that thankfully didn't end up going on my public record. Thank you to the judge who had mercy with me because I was not the one who argued with you in the courtroom. It was not me. Sorry, Mom, but like, yeah. The way I ended up in this apartment is because I was staying, like, motel hopping for a couple days. My brother already lived here. His roommate moved out 4 or 5 days after I lost my house. So I'm like, you know what? I need stability. I'm just going to sign in to this apartment that I know I can afford and that I know my brother can afford because he just did a 16-month lease before I got here with somebody else. The reason why I moved here, even though me and my brother were not on good terms at all, is the fact that I crave stability with my housing because I lost it when I was so young. I stopped living with my dad when I was like 10 because my dad's baby mama's a fucking racist and she's a bitch and I don't like her. And she just was like very rude and did unnecessary things to make me feel uncomfortable when I was a child. And my dad, I feel like, picked her comfort over mine. He allowed that to happen in his household. And there was times they would get into arguments and all of a sudden you're driving me all the way to my mom's house because you don't want me in the house with her. But she was never asked to leave. So I stopped living with him very young. My oldest sibling on my mom's side ended up being incarcerated when I was 12. He got arrested. My mom's mental health went down the drain, completely plummeted, because my brother was basically in the process of starting a murder trial. So my mom, not only was she already battling something with her physical health, but then she had this mental health issue, and she stopped working because she couldn't function. So I lost my house when I was like 13. And I ended up going to the first shelter in Brockton, which was fine, but scary at times because people always busted the back doors to the building open. So there'd be random people in and out the building. They replaced the lock, they fixed the door, and it got broken literally less than a week later. So it was like fine. I always say, like, even through those circumstances not being the best, I still was glad I had at least one very, very good parent, because my mom was still a good parent and she tried her best. But I ended up in that shelter. That was when I was 13. I didn't end up in stable housing again until I was 19. I went from the shelter in Brockton to briefly living with my grandmother in Stoughton to having family issues in Stoughton to living with my dad for 7 months, to having the same issues again with my father, to going to a shelter in Lowell, living in Lowell for a little bit, going to a shelter in not Framingham, excuse me, that's where I went to school, going to a shelter from Lowell to Roxbury, which is where I was the most comfortable because I'm from Boston, so it was like I was back in my hood, and I grew up in Eggleston. I'm 8 minutes away from my hood, like, to then getting placed in Waltham, to then finally getting an apartment. Shout out to Raft, because y'all fucking saved me. So I ended up getting an apartment, moving to Rosendale. My mom gets fucking married, which I was so tight because my mom wanted me to move to the suburbs of northern Rhode Island with her and her man, knowing I went to school in Fenway. So I had to drop out of college. I just like was kind of lost because I'm like, dude, I worked so hard to get to fucking Massart, and I literally was homeless my first entire year of college, living in a fucking shelter for my mom to get married and make me move to Rhode Island, and then I'm over an hour and 20 minutes from my school. Like, I'm definitely not finishing. So I ended up feeling kind of fucking lost, but it just so happened that COVID occurred a couple months before I ended up moving to Rhode Island, so I stuck it through for as many like Zoom classes as I could to get towards my degree. And then once they started doing in-person classes again, I dropped out because it was like I was so far away. I felt lost because I'm like in a fucking state where I don't know nobody, living in this house knowing his sons don't like me, finding out later that my stepfather didn't even like me. And my mom ended up getting divorced because he fucking hated me. We didn't need to move there, but he told my mom, oh no, I got you, I'm gonna take care of you, da-da-da-da. I had us move there 3 months later, was asking her when I was planning on leaving. I ended up going through housing instability again. So I ended up moving back into my grandmother's house, which is embarrassing as fuck. And I was fine being in my grandmother's house because as far as I was concerned, it was only supposed to be me and my sibling who lives in this apartment with me right now. I ended up calling that house the boarding house because mad of my family from Puerto Rico ended up moving into that house because they need to get on their feet here, get a job here, whatever. And when I tell you, this was like such like ghetto Puerto Rican living. Like, granted, I'm grateful I had a place to stay, but I'm talking electricity getting shut off because nobody's paying the bills, chicken coop in the yard that's still somewhat getting heated, but my room isn't. Mad just weird shit. My brother lived in the basement at the time and he had 2 dogs. That basement was covered in fucking feces and urine. That basement was covered in dog piss and shit all the time. He would not come for days and days and days and days to take care of those dogs. He would not come home. He was always at his girlfriend's house, which is like so crazy to me because why do you have those animals? So I ended up leaving that apartment with my mom at one point because I ended up being a para. My mom ended up working again. And that's when we got into that apartment that I got evicted from, that I was in for like maybe like a year and a half before I got booted out that bitch. When I got the offer to move into this apartment, I literally had a conversation with my brother and I was like, listen, you did not take care of your animals the last time. The house was covered in urine. It was covered in feces. I'm not going to live with you if it's fucking dirty. I'd rather shell out every coin in my pocket and keep paying for these hotels and sleep in the fucking bed with my mom again, like I did when I was a teenager, and thug this shit out like I did when I was a teenager, than move into an apartment that's fucking dirty. And he promised me, no, I'm home all the time. My apartment is not dirty. It does not stink. It's gonna be fine. I only have one of the dogs now. Everything's gonna be okay. Blase, blase, blase. Promised me. I get here and that wasn't the case. I get here, it's the same shit. He goes to his girlfriend's apartment for days at a time. Every time I ask him a question, I text him, I call him, I never hear a response. He does not get back to me about anything. He actually quite literally ignores the text I send to my phone because my brother is a bitch and he can't deal with any type of confrontation. So I am just like kind of miserable living here since I got here. The last video I put of Clean My Dirty Kitchen with me, I feel like a couple of y'all could probably sense I was really getting fed up, and I am, and I have been for months. My best friend comes and helps me clean my house every time she comes over here because I am quite literally overwhelmed by the amount of shit I have to pick up, like, because he doesn't do anything. And so, like, I took the stability of knowing I had an apartment I could come to that was going to be paid for and I wouldn't get kicked out of it, but the living conditions I'm living in fucking filth and squander, which is just like, I can't catch a break. Like, I haven't been comfortable with my living situation for long periods of time, like, and every time I get comfortable in my living situation, something blows up in my face. Because even when I lived in that apartment before I moved in with my mom's ex-husband, even when I lived in that apartment, I was an idiot and had friends who were living with me trying to help them out, and they were all fucking being grimy to me. So that was uncomfortable. And then when I moved back into an apartment with my mom after leaving my grandmother's house, my mom, I don't know what happened to her brain. My mom's got severe PTSD, but she was having bad episodes, like bad episodes. Bad. And I'm not gonna like put all her business on the internet, but just know a lot of shit hurt my feelings. Like, so, it wasn't the best. My brother is still incarcerated, by the way. So it's just a lot of things with her that I know are just affecting her. I move into this apartment, I'm just praying for a little bit of stability and just to live somewhere that's not like filthy. Like, I already dealt with living in shelters and people getting bed bugs and then fucking having to like fucking kill roaches and fucking mice and all that shit in these shelters. And then like just to come here and have to live in filth again is like insanity. Like, it's fucking like crazy to me that just like I thought I was gonna get a break and that's not what it was. I'm constantly cleaning up feces. I'm constantly cleaning up urine. He's neglected his dog so bad she had a heart murmur and 2 different ear infections, and she was shaking her head for months, to the point where I gave my mom the dog when I went on vacation. I gave my mom his dog because I didn't want her to suffer because he didn't come home for 5 days and I was going to Houston and I wasn't hearing a word from him. And I'm like, if I go to Houston and he hasn't been here for 5 days and he don't come the 5 days I'm in Houston, the dog's gonna fucking starve. My mom dog sits for me, but I bring her everything that he needs. And he's 6 pounds. He's tiny and he's 12 years old. He's not that hard to take care of. And my mom loves the fucking dog. So I gave her my dog and his dog. The vet bill was over $500 to help his dog. That is how bad he neglected her. I have to live with him. So I'm just uncomfortable. I've moved here in February. It's January now. It's been almost a year that I've been uncomfortable living here. The summer for me was the best because I was barely home because it was so nice outside. But now that it's the winter time and I'm always home, again, I'm getting agitated. I have tried to talk to him several times about my issues. He doesn't give a fuck. And the reason I know he doesn't give a fuck is because even when he tells me he doesn't understand, he does the same shit over and over again. So you don't really care. You don't care. So I'm just at a point where, you know what? I decided I don't give a fuck either. But this is exactly why y'all haven't been getting content from me consistently in so long. It's because I've been dealing literally with so much shit and moving so much and having so many issues and then going to fucking court and then living in fucking hotels again. That was triggering as fuck for me because of what I already went through as a young teenager. I went from 13 to 19, not even living in my own house. Going to middle school, high school, and college without stable fucking living conditions and dealing with my mother's terrible fucking mental health and the fact that my dad did not want to help her. But he pays to roof and feed his other baby mama. And they're not together. They were actually never a couple. She was a fucking one night stand that got knocked up. You were actually in a relationship with my mom that you cheated on. That you only told you cheated on because you got another bitch pregnant when she told you she was pregnant with me. So the whole thing has always been a mess. I feel like they set me up for failure. My life has been fucking shit. And then I get into this apartment fucking hopeful. And my brother shits all over my hope with his disgusting fucking behavior. And I'm at my limit right now because now I don't like legal situations, but I have to go through another one because it always gets better, right? It always gets better for me. Honestly, I can't fucking believe it. There has been black and white mold in all of my pipes in my apartment since I moved in here. I'm asthmatic. There has been black and white mold in all of the pipes in my apartment. The water I've been drinking, the water I've been brushing my teeth with, the water I've been showering with is all contaminated. I only found this out because of an 18-year-old boy who is doing demolition on the first floor apartment of my building. This house got bought by a new landlord, which means they had to do an inspection. The new landlord did not inform me about the mold. The old landlord did not inform me about the mold. I'm supposed to be here until April 30th. It is the first week of January. I have been congested. I have been getting sick. Even in the summer I was sick. I had no idea what was going on. I'm thinking maybe it's just my diet. My immune system is getting weak. I don't know what the fuck is going on. No, bitch. It's because I've been living with mold in my house for over a year. Almost a year, excuse me. I'm just at my wit's end. I'm just like, this is why y'all haven't gotten any content. I've had way too much real life shit going on and I don't get paid from fucking YouTube. So, and despite all of this, I'm trying not to complain. Like, I'm still trying to be grateful for like the fact that I have a roof over my head and my heat on. But here's the thing. Mold spores can travel because of your vents and your heating systems. Lord knows how far the vents in my bathroom have pushed mold spores into my apartment because my bathroom is very small and it doesn't have any windows that open. So every time I take a shower, I leave the door open and the vent on so it's not humid in there and so it doesn't get moldy, which is ironic because no matter how much I fucking aired that room out, it was gonna be moldy. But yeah, basically, what I'm getting to is the fact that I'm living in a house that's literally fucking not safe for me to be in. Neither one of the landlords made me aware. The only reason why I found out is because one day I'm literally walking down the stairs to work. I walk out the building. This young man follows me out of my house, and he's doing demolition on the first floor apartment that somebody moved out of when they sold the house. I think it was like the old landlord's brother that lived in the first floor apartment, and so he moved out when the house was bought out. This kid follows me out as I'm walking to my car, and he's like, "Excuse me." I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "You live on the third floor or the second floor?" I'm like, "I live on the third floor." He's like, "Hey, I'm so and so." I'm like, "Hey, I'm Liz." He's like, "So when we're done renovating the first floor, is the second floor moving down, and then we're going to do the second floor, and then you guys are going to move down there when we do the third floor?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, what are you asking me right now?" Because I told him, I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And he says, "Oh, the house isn't even safe to live in." I'm like, "Oh." He goes, "Yeah. When we tore down the walls, it was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. Insulation is supposed to be pink. It was black." I was like, "Nice." He said, "Not dark pink, not a little dusty, not gray, not brown. It was black. It was molded. There's mold everywhere." And I'm like, "Nice." Can only imagine what's in my apartment at this point. And I told him, I was like, "Oh, well, thank you for letting me know, because I had no fucking idea." To make matters worse, they've started doing works on the pipes in this building. Landlord says we're not going to have water, but they will turn it back on before they leave, not to flush my toilets, not to start my sink, not to do anything. And I'm like, "Okay, well, let me wake up early enough to brush my teeth and stuff, shower before they get here." The water never got turned back on. They're usually here from like 9 to 5 regularly. It's past 5 o'clock. I turn on the sink to wash the dishes because I cooked thinking that the water would turn back on so I could clean my pots, pans, and everything. I text my landlord. I'm like, "Hey, we have no running water." He's like, "Okay, somebody will be there to fix it soon, da da da." So he calls me after the guy supposedly fixed my pipes. He's like, "Hey, can you test the water for me so I can make sure it works? Blase, blase." I try the water. It turns fucking brown, coming out my sink, literally brown. And he's like, "Oh, okay, that's normal. Let it run for a minute. Turn it off, then give it an hour. Everything should be fine." I did exactly what he says. An hour later, the water in my kitchen sink still wasn't really working properly. And we only had hot water. We did not have any cold water. So I couldn't like wash my face, take another shower if I wanted to, which is irritating for me because I am a full body waxer. I've just been all over people, fucking touching people's vaginas all day. I get home and you're telling me I can't take a shower because it's scorching hot water. Okay, bet. I tell the landlord, "Hey, we have water right now, but it's only extremely hot water." I had to take a pot of water and let it cool so that I was able to bathe myself that night, which I have no problem doing. I have family in Puerto Rico in way worse circumstances, living in fucking houses with tin roofs that still leak. So like I said, I always try to be grateful. I'm like, whatever. I told him it's not a big deal as long as they come fix it tomorrow. The guys don't understand why our water isn't working because they fixed the pipes on the other part of the house. So they come into my apartment. They come into my apartment to fix our pipes and find the black and white mold all in our pipes and supposedly clean it out. I don't think they really did anything because when I look in the back of my toilet where the water fills, the entire bottom of it is covered in black sludge. What do you think that is? What do you think that is? And there's still mold in my shower, like actively in my shower. I have tried to bleach it. I have tried to do everything. It will not go away. And for the entire 11 months I've been living here, I've been trying to figure out why every time I scrub my shower and I bleach these spots, the mold never disappears. It's because it's coming from the fucking shower head. That happens. Landlord? Not offering any solution. Hasn't even brought it up to the tenants who are currently living here, aka me and my brother. I'm already pissed off at my brother. So now I'm in a position where I'm feeling fucked by everybody. I'm feeling fucked by my sibling because, again, his dog just shit and piss all over my kitchen. I've already cleaned her piss and shit today. On my day off, while I'm sick, mind you. Because my throat is on fire. I sent my landlord an email today. But I sent him an email. And I said, I hope this email finds you well. I am writing you to formally inform you that I am in a position where I have to break this lease. When there was an issue with the pipes, Antonio and I were made aware that there was black and white mold in our pipes. It was also found in the toilet. I was also previously made aware of the insulation in the walls being molded as well. Antonio has also put me in a position where I no longer feel comfortable living in my apartment with him. He has been neglectful towards his animal and has left me in unsanitary conditions due to not cleaning up after his pets. She urinates and defecates in the apartments multiple times a day, and I have been cleaning up after him and his pet for almost a year now. His irresponsibility with his pet is the reason why the people you contracted to fix the house found feces in the basement. He has also had guests over that I overheard speaking about me in a negative way that has made me feel uncomfortable and unsafe, which is fucking true. To top it all off, not only am I cleaning up after your dog, I'm cleaning up after you, I'm cleaning up after your friends. But I overheard him talking to his new girl, who he cheated on his old girl with. The new girl knew that he had a girlfriend also when she was fucking him, and he was actively cheating on her. Yeah, I heard him talking to his new girl, door wide open, bold as fuck. I heard him say something. I'm not really sure what they were talking about, but I heard him say, don't do that, da-da-da-da-da, my sister is not gonna like it. This bitch confidently fixes her lips to say, oh, shut up, you need to relax, it's not like she's ever gonna know, Liz is never gonna know, who's gonna tell her? So you think you could do whatever the fuck you want in my home? You think you can do shit you know will piss me off in my house? As long as you don't tell me about it, I don't feel safe. I don't feel comfortable. Not with people like that walking in and out of my crib. And you know what's funny? I walked straight up to that room and I said, I don't know what you think you're hiding from me, but I hope you know I can hear you. My brother's gonna shut the door in my face. Bet. I have every right to break my lease. I'm contacting the landlord without making him aware. It's big fuck you from this point forward. I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm gonna apply to my apartments. I'm gonna try to find an apartment as soon as possible. I'm gonna move out and he can figure out his shit on his own. Cause quite honestly, I really don't need him. I make way more money than he does. There's plenty of apartments around for $1,200. That's very well in my budget. What I was paying in Boston was way more and I'm working the same job. I'm actually making more money now because I have a consistent clientele and before I didn't. I'm fucking done. And I feel like him and the last landlord thought they could just leave us in the dust. I think people think because I'm young, I'm like kind of slow. I don't know things. I'm not like aware of like my rights or housing laws. But I have been in so many different housing situations. Baby boy, you got the wrong fucking one. This is why you guys haven't been getting consistent content from me. I have not been in the mood. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm still trying to be optimistic. I'm looking for apartments. I love my job. I'm cool with my coworkers. My manager fucks with me. The owner doesn't want me to leave. I'm making him money. I'm making myself money. I have one of the biggest trips of my life planned this year. I finally got my passport. I'm able to experience things. My dog, one of them, is still here with me. And I'm not healthy, but I'm mobile. And I'm not brain dead. So I got a fighting chance to make this a really good year for me. But right now, I'm just in an uncomfortable circumstance. So, I don't know. If anybody watched to the end of this video, leave a comment. Let me know. I honestly just needed to get this off my chest. And I wanted to just share what's going on with my YouTube channel because I know I post a lot of clothing hauls, I post travel vlogs, I post party vlogs, I post a lot of things that make it look like my life is great. You know why? Because I want to capture what is good. I want to be able to reminisce on what is good because I have gone through so much shit and I'm only 25. I mean, I have a couple little videos I have planned. I have some stuff coming in the mail for my trip. So I will keep y'all updated, and y'all will continue to just get bits of content here and there, but like, I just wanted to give an update. I know I don't have a lot of subscribers, but I do have subs that have been here since I started my channel. I do have subs that follow me on Instagram and other platforms. And I do have people who reach out to me that tell me that they enjoy my content. So I just wanted to share with y'all why y'all are not getting content. But yeah, have a blessed day, my bubbly babies.